Hello, hello. Nice to see you guys. I'm letting folks join real quick. So, once again, I'm back on how to identify 10 hours of your life that you can get back every single week. And I'm doing that for a course of 30 days. I think we're on day 6 now. You can see what we've talked about in the past on my feed. But meanwhile, I want to just jump right in. So Friday, we left off with a suggested, I'm going to say call to action, but reflection question for you guys, which was, what are you saying yes to? And when you say yes to something, what else are you saying no to as a result? And if you guys want to look at that, you can take a look at the other lives. But today I want to jump into the other piece, which was, is it a should or not? So if you want something and you're not taking action to get it, what I was sharing was maybe you don't actually want it in the first place. Maybe it is a should and you're only doing it because you think you should do it. So if you feel like you should say yes to Aunt Margaret and feed her cats, is that a want to or a should? Like, is that something you actually want to do, or do you just sort of feel obligated? And if you don't really, maybe you love Aunt Margaret. Maybe she's your favorite aunt and you really want to be there for her and you're going to come over and happily do that. Or maybe Aunt Margaret is not the nicest person on the planet. Maybe she's constantly asking you for things. And the last thing you want to do is deal with that. So then it could be well, if you say yes, then that's, you feel like you should because you don't want to hurt her feelings or you don't want her to feel offended or whatever. But if you really don't want to, the next piece is, and if it's a should, what could you do instead so you can say no and save face at the same time? So maybe you don't do it, but you say, you know what? I have a friend or a neighbor or someone else who can do that for you. So you resolve it. Or if Aunt Margaret's just a creep and you don't want to help her at all, then you say, no, I'm sorry, I can't, and move on with your life. But then there's the ones where, let's say, something else like, I want to lose weight. Okay, then you're not really taking action to do that, but you keep saying you want to do it. So, what I talked to you guys about last week was, do you feel like you should lose weight or do you want to lose weight? And if you want to lose weight, the next piece is, what is the question? What is the reason? Why do you want to lose weight? So, if the destination is just lose weight, that's not very motivating. It sounds like a drag. If it's fit into that dress before I go to the wedding, then you have sort of more of a motivator because you want to look great. Like, I want to look really good. Well, and then the question becomes, well, why do you want to look really good? It could be because maybe there's someone there you want to impress, or you just would feel really self-conscious if you didn't be able to fit in that one thing. Or maybe it's your old wedding dress and it's your celebration related to like an anniversary or something, and it's like sentimental or something like that. So the thing that you can do is just dig into even more, why does that matter? Because it reminds me of all the memories and it would make it really special. Okay, so if you really want it special, now we know why you want to lose the weight. Then you come back to, but I don't do what it takes. So today is all about when you know you want something, but it feels like a drag or it feels like you're having to make yourself do it. That was what I was talking about on Friday, is it doesn't necessarily mean that you're lacking discipline or that it needs a rule, because the reality is if you don't want to do it, it's just going to keep feeling like a drag. And when you have lots of things in your life and you have a lot of other things taking up your time, the last thing you're going to go and make time for is something you just don't feel like doing or don't want to do. So the trick is, how do you make it more magnetic to want to do what it's going to take to get the thing you want? And that's where I'm going to challenge you guys today to think about, okay, what do you think you need to do in order to get there? What are the different ways that you can get there? What way do you think is the way? And if you don't want to do it that way, what's another way you can get there? So let's say, oh, I need to work out or eat healthier. Okay, so if you want to work out, What if you don't like working out? Maybe you think you have to go to the gym, or maybe you feel like, well, I don't want to lift weights, or I don't want to do this whole thing where now I'm spending an hour a day in the gym. I just, one, I don't have the hour. Two, it's not my thing and I hate it. But you feel like that's your path. So then you make a rule that's, I'm going to get up earlier to go do it, or I'm going to do it right when I get home from work, or whatever. And then you wonder why it doesn't stick, why you're not getting up early, or even if you are, it just feels like a drag. So the trick is, what's a different way? So if you're looking to lose weight to get into a dress, what's a different way? Maybe it's not going to the gym. Maybe it's going for a walk with a friend. Maybe it's learning how to jump rope. I don't know. There's a new thing. There's a new guy that jump ropes all the time. And that could be more fun. Maybe it's just a different form of getting more movement. So if you know what, when you want to lose weight as the example, what is it going to take? More movement and better eating, right? So the trick is to identify, if that's the path, what other way can you do it? So for example, Tony Robbins says that there's always more than two options, or at least three options. And if you don't have three options, it's not really a choice. It's kind of a have to or a forced decision. So for example, if you say only one option, well, that's not really a choice. It's the only thing to do. So it doesn't, you don't really feel like you have choice. If there's two options, then it's still kind of one or the other, not really, it's sort of a forced choice. And if you have at least three, now you have something you can actually distinguish between to get a choice for yourself. So it could be, maybe it's go to the gym, maybe it's go out with a friend, or maybe it's just sit in front of the TV with a bike and watch TV while you're on a bike, right? So now you have three choices. Then it becomes, do I want to do any of those things? And if you still don't want to do those things, then keep brainstorming. Come up with another way. See what else you can add to the list until you find something that you want to do, something that becomes more magnetic. So here's a trick that I use that my clients have found to be transformational in terms of being able to come up with new ways. Because part of it is, well, if you knew a new way, you would do it, right? Or if you knew that way, it's something that you would try to do, but you don't want to because you don't know another way. Then there's ChatGPT, there's all these other things, but reality is, and what I teach is, ultimately, life is an experience, right? We're here to have an experience. And if we hate the experience, then we're not really living life. And a lot of people think we don't have control over that. It's like, oh, life is what it is. We can't change and control everything. And I challenge that in that you have choices to make in which path you want to take. And it starts with the should test, and then it gets to, if you really do want it and really knowing why, thinking about, what if I don't do that? What's the impact? What's my life going to be like if I don't do that? So you're starting to create more pain. Like I said last week, we don't change for pleasure, we change to avoid pain. So if it's more painful to take the path that you think it requires to get to where you want to be, then you're not going to change. If you can remove the friction, if you can make it less painful than doing nothing, then you're more likely to change. So if we use the example of fitting into that dress, and so for guys, if you have some great suit, you don't want to have to go buy a new bigger suit, right? Same concept. But it's, if that's the desired outcome, what happens if you don't? What if you don't? What's the experience of life going to be if you don't get yourself there? If you do, what's the experience going to be, right? And if it becomes less painful to, if it's more painful to not fit into it, now you have some leverage on yourself. The next piece is the path. So let's say if you're doing all your options, thinking about the experience you want to have while you're doing it so that it becomes something you want to do. You take the friction out of the process. So what I recommend is, ultimately, life is a collection of feelings. It's really all it is. So when you do something or have something or achieve something, it creates a feeling. So if the feeling really ends up becoming the desired outcome, so let's say you would feel more confident. You would feel happy. You would feel proud of yourself, right? That's the ultimate goal. It's not so much the dress. It's not so much the event. It's how would you feel as a result of that? So now if you take it back to, well, what are you going to do in order to get yourself to take the action to achieve the ultimate goal? What things, how would you want to feel while you're doing that? So maybe it's you want to feel proud. If you want to feel proud, start brainstorming of what things could I do that would help me feel proud. Or maybe you want to feel energized. What things can you do that would help you feel energized in the path to the result? So, for example, if you're saying, oh no, I have to go to the gym to get that result, well, is that going to help you feel energized? No, you'd rather poke your eye out and throw yourself off a cliff because you just hate going. Okay, so what could help you feel energized? What other things energize you? Maybe it's nature. Maybe when you're with friends, you feel more energized. Maybe it's a certain time of day where you have more energy. Maybe you're a night owl versus a morning person. So, what path to the thing you want that's going to get you that result will deliver the feeling you want along the way and have that help you come up with options. And the trick is to not say, I don't, is to go toward the feeling versus away from the feeling. And so let's say I just don't want to feel tired. Well, that's not really a go-to feeling. It's a how do you want to feel instead of tired? I want to feel awake. I want to feel, like I said, energized. If you don't want to feel overwhelmed, right? If you just say, I don't want to be overwhelmed, that's not really giving you any direction. If you say, I want to feel at ease, or I want to feel calm. So now what things could you do that will help you feel calm along the way? So that's your trick for this, for today and just in general. You can even practice this all week or write it in a place where you're going to remember to try this next time you get stuck, which is, what is the ultimate feeling I'm going for? How do I want to feel when I get there? Then how do I want to feel on the way there? So my favorite ad of all time, so a quote came from a BMW ad, and it's, if life's a journey, life's greatest tragedy is having not enjoyed the ride. So if you have something you're looking forward to, you want to go do this thing, but you're not going to enjoy the ride, then that whole journey of life just becomes this big drag. So what can you do to make the journey to the ultimate goal more enjoyable? And by doing the feeling result, how do you want to feel? And then brainstorming ways that would get you there. That's the fastest path to getting yourself in motion. And then it becomes more magnetic instead of some big discipline, make a rule, force yourself, self pep talk kind of stuff, right? So that's your tip for today. And the reason I'm even talking about this when I say we're related to time, if you want to get 10 hours of time back, how does that contribute to getting time back if you're now signing yourself up for more to do, right? It's more, if you're not doing this thing that you keep saying you want to do, that you don't have time for, or you feel like when you do have time, it's the last thing on the planet that you want to do, then it's taking up brain space. It's taking up mental space. You keep judging yourself for it. It's impacting your life a lot more than you may realize. So if it's taking up brain space, then you're not be able to make as clear of decisions in the rest of your life. You won't even realize that it's going on. It's kind of like RAM in a computer. If you have too many tabs open, even though Excel isn't the application you're using right now, it's taking up space in your computer and slowing everything else down, or it can create a crash if there's too much going on. So even if you're not aware that it's taking up space, it is. So if it doesn't pass the should test, let it go. Be done with it. Let yourself off the hook. Give that space to your brain pad. If you do want it and you don't want to do the thing that's going to get you there, apply what I taught you guys today, which is, well, what is the experience you want to have along the way? What is the feeling you're going for? And then brainstorm. And if you still can't get to a result, think about, well, who would know? Who might know more energetic ways to do this? ChatGPT, or maybe somebody who's really good at fitness. I don't know. You can start to get resourceful. So that's your tip for today. And we're going for something that's going to get you more drawn forward, because the goal is not just to give you more time, but it's to give you an experience of time that you actually enjoy. So with that, have a great rest of the week. You can type in the comments or even just DM me directly if there's something that you can't get yourself into motion, or you want specific tailored guidance on me helping you draw this out. Like if you're still stuck, or you just want someone to help you come up with the answer, just DM me and I can help you come up with that tailored piece for you specifically. So with that, have a fabulous week, and I will see you guys tomorrow.